Yo. What's going on, man? Today is April the 20th, 2024. It's your boy Chris, and this is the ChrisBeCappinn NBA Show, live on Twitter, also live on YouTube as well. Coming off, always start the show by doing a quick recap, and we're coming off a 0-1 night. I talked about like in Sacramento on the money. I actually played Sacramento on the money line. Only play that I ended up giving out, and was a loser yesterday. If you watched the game, you saw Keegan Murray struggle. Everybody struggled. I mean, Sabonis had a pretty good game, and outside of De'Aaron Fox, who had a great game, none of the role players showed up, and Pelicans were able to snap that losing streak, and they will get a first-round matchup against the Oklahoma City Thunder that will be played tomorrow. I like Miami. I didn't like Miami. I like Chicago yesterday. Didn't give it out as an official play, and they did end up losing to the Miami Heat last night. So on the postseason, you guys see there 0-2 so far. I bet the Sacramento game each time against them the first time with Golden State, and then with them last night, and of course they lose. So 0-2. The first play was a 2-unit play. Last play was a 1-unit play. So we are down 3 units to start the postseason, but the real postseason starts today, man, and I'm excited for it. Super excited for it. We got 4 games to get into for today, and we're gonna do just that. Dano says, what up, Justin? Appreciate you in the morning. He's in being here. He says, top of the morning, killed the books last night, and my bookie owes me heavy. Let's run it up again. I know we were on the opposite side, so Justin, you probably made some bread last night. Old lady says Kings killed the 2-leg parlay. Pipe Bomb says Pelicans had their number the whole season. Yeah, it's crazy. You would think that they would, recognize that. Is at least what I thought. Derek says shame on trusting OKC. Today's a new day. Let's get some money. Absolutely. Though I still think Sacramento was the better team. They just didn't show up yesterday. Pelicans are a good team though. They struggle with their identity recently. We'll see if Zion come back and see how that goes for the day. But let's jump into it for today, man. We got 4 games. First game up, we have the Orlando Magic. They will be my background music playing just a tad bit as well. We got the Orlando Magic. They will be in Cleveland today, of course, taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think it's gonna be a pretty good game, man. I'm really excited for this one. Most people probably aren't, but I'm a believer in the Orlando Magic. Not that they're gonna win the championship, but I do think they could make this series really, really close. You look at the season series, and Orlando Magic they finished split. It was a split. It was 2-2 with both of the home teams winning each of the matchups. Totals went 3-1 to the over. So even though you saw some low totals, we did see the games go over. And strength of schedule wise, this is one of the reasons why I like the Magic. Orlando played a significantly more difficult schedule to end the season. Cleveland had some cupcakes, and they even lost that last game to the Charlotte Hornets. Probably just to avoid the New York Knicks and the Philadelphia 76ers in the first round. I kind of think that myself. So looking into this game, man, these game ones, I think I got to start with this. These game ones can be extremely difficult to bet. I think that's something that we got to take into consideration. Like, you really just never know what you're going to get in the first game. But I'll tell you guys this. Cleveland, they finished the season 22-10 straight up. But just 14-17-1 against the spread as a home favorite. So if you remember last year, Cleveland was a monster, like as a home favorite, and they were kind of similar to Denver out in the Western Conference. Like, it was a team that really took care of home court. Not so much this year. 19 of those 32 games actually went to the over, with one of them being a push. And the reason why I mentioned that, 61.3%. The games went over against Cleveland. So what that tells me is the line makers were setting these totals just a tad bit too low. And as a 5-point favorite, which is pretty much what they are today, 5-point favorite or less, they actually finished 13-6 straight up, 11-7-1 against the spread. So when these competitive teams came in, and they were only projected to win the game by 2 possessions or less, they did play really, really good basketball. Orlando, looking at this team, Orlando's profile for the whole season has been, not a team that's really great offensively. They finished just with the 22nd offensive rated team, but they were the second best defensive rated team. And it's going to be interesting to see if they can bring the defense in this spot, specifically against the 3-point shot. We know that the Cleveland Cavaliers want to shoot a bunch of threes. In Orlando, that's actually been their kryptonite. One of the shot zones that they've struggled with the most is allowing teams to make threes. I'm going to jump a little bit more into that in a second. So Orlando did finish 6-8 straight up as road dogs versus teams that had a 55% win percentage or better, which the Cleveland Cavaliers fit that profile. Here's the problem with betting Orlando after looking into the numbers, because I really wanted to take Orlando, and I still kind of feel like they're the side, man. But Cleveland, the last time they played a meaningful game was when I tried to fade them against the Indiana Pacers, and that was a big, home court decisive game. So you saw them really, really play with a lot of energy and effort in that game, and they ended up beating the Indiana Pacers in that game. Then, of course, they rest their starters and they lose to the Charlotte Hornets. I think that was intentional, like I mentioned already. But here's the problem. I think we do get a motivated Cleveland Cavaliers team. They got a couple guys on the team that have, that veteran presence. I'm thinking about, a couple guys on this team that's kind of been there, and they were a wash last year in the playoffs. Like, remember how they finished the season? They ended up losing to the Knicks, and it really wasn't that close. Like, Knicks came in there, really embarrassed them, and that's why they, went out and got a Max Strus, who has a lot of playoff experience, and everybody on this team has a lot more playoff experience now as well, after what the Knicks did to him last year. So here's my problem with betting Orlando, because like I said, I really wanted to get there. But after taking a deep dive into the numbers, last 2 weeks, Cleveland's defense, which has taken a dip from where they started at the beginning of the season, their biggest weakness has actually been their ability to guard the three-point line. The Cavs have allowed teams to really run it up. They allowed opponents to shoot the highest three-point percentage from above the break three over the last 2 weeks at 40%, and they're 29th in overall opponent three-point percentage at 39.9%. So pretty much 40% from above the break three and overall from three. Orlando doesn't shoot a ton of threes. Last 2 weeks, they've taken the second fewest above the break threes, which is consistent with their overall season profile. They for the full season, they actually only took the 28th most above the break three. So you can say it's the third fewest and 28th in overall three-point accuracy. So Orlando is a team that like to get it, from the mid-range. They like to get in the paint. And that, to me, that doesn't seem like an advantage for them at all. This is the one advantage that they had, but the numbers don't say that they take advantage of it, because Orlando's not a three-point shooting team. Cleveland, they got Evan Mobley down there. They got Jared Allen. Like, they have some defenders at the rim. So to me, it feels like a bad matchup for the Orlando Magic's offense to be able to score the basketball. So, like I said, I wanted to get there with Orlando and take the points, because I do feel like they could potentially come in here and steal game one. But the shot profile, like I said, just didn't match up, man. What I do want to talk about and kind of pivot to is the total in this game. 207.5. You really haven't seen a lot of movement there. I think 207.5. So looking at where Orlando likes to shoot the ball from, like we kind of just talked about, I think it could be difficult for them to score in this matchup. They like to attack the rim. And with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen down there, like I just kind of talked about, that could make it, a little more difficult, hinder their offense to be able to score successfully, at least consistently as well, right? Like if Orlando had a 16, 17, 22-point quarter, it really wouldn't surprise me here. Orlando also doesn't play with a bunch of pace. On the season, they finished 27th in pace. And over the last 5 games, not much faster, they finished 24th. They don't get out in transition either. They just a very slow-paced team. Cleveland, they do like to run a ton. On the season, they finished 13th in transition frequency. In the last 2 weeks, they finished 12th and 4th in points per possession via the transition bucket, both on the season and over the last 2 weeks. So Orlando, 8th in both opponent transition frequency and opponent points scored via transition, which tells me that they should be able to slow Cleveland's offense down from being able to get out and run in transition. So as long as Orlando can actually close out to some of the shooters for Cleveland, I'm talking about the Max Struses of the world, Sam Merrill if he plays, Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Gorgeous Niang. As long as they can close out to those shooters, which this is something that Coach Mosley said that they were emphasizing in practice and preparation for the series against the Cleveland Cavaliers, against the Cleveland Cavaliers team that like the Jack. I think that, it's a significant path here for this game actually to go towards the under. I know that Cleveland's defense hasn't been as great, but Orlando, in my opinion, and their defense does get a lot better at home. I think they bring it defensively here. I think we see a much more locked-in Cleveland Cavaliers defense as well. And my favorite play for this game would be towards the under. I do like the under. I know 207.5 is an extremely low number, but if I'm playing the game, I'm only looking towards this game to go under. I do think both teams could really. I know Orlando could really struggle here. And I think we get a motivated Cavaliers defense. The Cavs finished 7-2 to the under as home favorites with a total of about totals that were close to this. They did go towards the under. And like I said, I think they bring it defensively here. As long as the three-point shots aren't falling for Cleveland, because Orlando plays a little bit better defense there, I do think it's an under-type game. And I still kind of lean towards Orlando catching the points here. Let me go to the comments real quick and see what you guys are saying about this one. What up, Anthony? Let's see. Derek says, I feel like there were some solid spots on the board today. I do. I absolutely do. Keelan says, Pelicans had their number all season. Prop worth a look. Justin says, Cavs game 1 and series, minus 110 in my pocket. So he likes the 4.5 with the home team here and them to win the series. I do think that they win the series. I do think that they can win the series. But this is a toss-up type series. I think I'm just not sure if Orlando has enough offense here. Like that's the thing that kind of scares me with them here. Derek says he likes Garland over his 24.5 points plus assists. This makes a ton of sense to me. Orlando, if they do struggle, it's typically the guards. They got a bunch of length down low, and they typically can slow the bigs down. So Garland over 24.5 points plus assists. Says he had 35, 41, 28 in 3 games versus Orlando this season. He's averaging 25.5 with 25.6 points and assists in 5 career playoff games. So this makes sense to me. What up, Jeff? Appreciate you for tapping in. David says Cavs are tough to trust, but Orlando being able to keep up offensively with Cleveland worries me. And this is what I said as well. I do think they bring it defensively, though. What's up, Brian? He says playoffs separate real from the fakes. You dig? Absolutely. Joshua says, I'm riding Cavs series with Jay Money. Good luck. So Jay likes Cleveland. I can see Cleveland winning this series, but it wouldn't surprise me if Orlando upset them either. Brian says, I like Magic spread and T-Wolves money line. We're going to talk about that in a second. Derek says, Cavs may want to make a statement after going out sad versus the New York Knicks last year. Orlando seems like a good team to get right against. Mobley and Allen should hold their own in the post, and that is Orlando's strength. And I agree there. I do agree there. Derek says perimeter favors Cleveland with Garland and Mitchell. What up, Prop? He says, I finally cashed a 25 to 1 to 10K challenge. So thankful. About to start it all over with the NBA today, starting with Orlando money line. The world will see how good Jonathan Isaac is. That's one of the reasons why I like the under, man. I think Orlando is going to bring it defensively. I like this one. Brian says Magic +5 on FanDuel. Cleveland soft, in his opinion. Snag says it's a stay away series. He don't like it enough to bet. What up, Derek? He says, what up, though, Chris? I did amazing betting in the NFL. I've been getting absolutely cooked betting the NBA. And Dano says, I feel the Magic come in playing loose with their hair on fire today. Cavs made adjustments for the second game. Yeah, one thing about the Magic, man, they have struggled on the road, though. They really have struggled on the road this season. They've been a much better home team. But yeah, under 207.5 is my favorite play. Like I said, looking at the numbers a little bit deeper, I really wanted to get there with Orlando plus the points. But looking at the numbers, I think that they could really struggle to score the basketball here. So even though 3-1 to the over in the series, so under 207.5 top play there. Let's keep it pushing. Next game up, we got the Phoenix Suns and the Minnesota Timberwolves. It's one of my favorite games of the day. So I looked over the numbers. I didn't write down a whole bunch of trends and all that good stuff, man. This is just a matchup that I think the Timberwolves got the short end of the stick on. I know that they, have the home court advantage in this spot. I know that Phoenix has been a very, very Jekyll and Hyde type team, but I don't think the Timberwolves match up with the Suns well. I think this is the worst possible matchup they probably could have drawn, out of anybody that they played. In my opinion, the Timberwolves, their strong defense actually attributes to their ability to be able to protect the rim. They're not, they can be a really good defense, a solid defense, and that's where they kind of hung their hat on all season on the defensive end. This is a team that can really struggle to score the basketball. I just think that they're a much better team at protecting the rim. On the season, the numbers actually back that. On the season, they finished 7th and 6th in opponent rim accuracy and opponent paint accuracy. The Timberwolves did. So they were a top 10 defense, whether it was a shot that was at the rim, like contested layups. And it makes sense. You got Rudy Gobert down there. Naz Reid's a pretty good defender. Or whether it was a paint shot. And when I say paint, I mean like restricted area, 5 feet or less, like the little floaters those type of shots, right? This is what the Timberwolves hung their hat, when they hung their hat on defensively. Suns don't care about that because they don't shoot that shot. They don't shoot shots at the rim. They want to shoot a bunch of mid-range jump shots, a bunch of three-point jump shots. And I think that's one of the reasons why the Phoenix Suns finished the season 3-0 straight up, 3-0 straight up against this Minnesota Timberwolves team in the regular season. And they beat them, of course, on Saturday. So now you get a Phoenix team that's actually starting to play a little bit of defense. Last 2 weeks, this team actually finished with the number 3 defensive rating, allowing teams to just 105 points per 100 possessions. So, and we saw it, right? Outside of those couple games where, they just didn't bring it at all. Like it's funny because when they're playing in a groove, like it feels like everything's going really, really well. And I'm pretty sure if you watched the Phoenix Suns play over the last couple of weeks, you've seen that, right? It's like all of a sudden their jump shots start to go in. Like this is Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Grayson Allen, Kevin Durant, everybody, Royce O'Neal, like their jump shots start to go in. Then they stop turning the ball over magically. And then the next thing you know, they're playing really, really good defense and they're just running it up. Like this team is a team that can really, really score the basketball. Last 2 weeks, like I said, third best defensive rating, only giving up 105 points per 100 possessions. And here's the other thing. I think, we'll see how it goes throughout the rest of some of these series, but getting Karl-Anthony Towns back, it hasn't been helpful for a lot of these teams trying to integrate players back into the lineup. Outside of that game for the New Orleans Pelicans yesterday, where Brandon Ingram was able to kind of, get his win back, didn't work out for Atlanta getting Trae Young back. And I think Karl-Anthony Towns coming back, I don't think that he's going to be necessarily in his best form. Or he's played like two games. And granted, like you get the whole week, right? Both of these teams have had 5 days off since the last time they played basketball. So yeah, I'm pretty sure, his cardio and stuff is getting back, right? But you can't simulate, in my opinion, game reps. And remember what happened to the Timberwolves last year. Karl-Anthony Towns went down and he came back. And of course, they were playing against the Denver Nuggets. And he looked like a shell of himself in that series as well. I also think that Karl-Anthony Towns coming back, he's not the strongest defender. And I think that also hurts the Minnesota Timberwolves because I think that they'll be trying to find Karl-Anthony Towns. Like I'm pretty sure, the coaching staff in Phoenix is a very smart coaching staff. Frank Vogel is an NBA, he's a championship coach, took the Lakers to the championship and won it in the bubble. And he had, a lot of really good years over in Indiana as well. So it's really, I can't bet against Phoenix in this spot. I think it's Phoenix plus 1.5. I know the Timberwolves are going to be super locked in this spot. I totally get it. I worry about the Timberwolves being able to score the basketball. I know that they're a defensive type team, but when you're playing against a superior offensive type team, which in my opinion, this Phoenix Suns team is, and now they're playing a little bit of defense, it's Phoenix, man. Phoenix plus 1.5. Phoenix team total over 106.5. I think if it is a defensive type game, if you feel like it's going to be more of a defensive type game, and the Phoenix can win this game with their defense, which they have. They held this Timberwolves team to 87 points in one game. They held them to 106 in the other in the most recent games. And both of those games came in April. Held them to 87, held them to 106. So the Timberwolves were under their team total in both games. And like I said, I can't trust them offensively. If you think that that's going to be the case, you probably want to look at the Phoenix Suns, plus the 1.5, because they did win a game against the Timberwolves where they scored 97 points. But regardless, I don't think the Timberwolves will be able to slow the Phoenix Suns offense down. I think those guys are going to be able to get to their spots. And the Phoenix team total over 106.5 is also a really good look in my opinion. So that's the way I chose to look at this game. Let's see what you guys are saying about this one. Dano says, I think you're going to get the best from the Magic in game one. I can see that. Derek says he took Orlando plus the 4.5. He ain't scared. Dano says Magic getting points with a better defense. They are much better defense, man. Much better defense. Sound like a lot of people like the Magic. Frank says, yes, sir. Back at it. Got Orlando plus the 5. Live by the 3, die by the 3. Unless you've seen the Kings in their first game playing, went 11 for 41 last night, and that's a fact. Snag likes the Timberwolves in 5. He don't believe in the Suns at all. Okay. Couldn't disagree with Snag more in this spot, but we'll see how that goes. Derek says, I'm praying the Timberwolves show up game 1 and win so I can take Phoenix at a series price down and hammer it. I think Phoenix could make some noise in the playoffs. And I agree. I definitely agree. Kick says 94 watching, only 24 likes. Come on, man. Let's hit the like button. I appreciate this comment, man. Derek says he took the Suns with the spread, so plus the 1.5 him. Derek says, other Derek says, Towns is a fraud, man. The Timberwolves were better off without him, and they need to offload their contract this summer and just move on with Nas at the 5 and build around Ant. It's so funny you say this, Derek, because I was thinking about it this morning. Like, man, it's crazy to think the Timberwolves are better unless Karl-Anthony Towns can become a better defender, because that's what the Timberwolves pride themselves on. I kind of feel this way. Like, y'all watch just watch the game today. Watch the game today. Watch who Frank Vogel and his coaching staff tries to score the basketball on. The Timberwolves have very excellent defenders. Mike Conley, not so much at this stage in his career, and Karl-Anthony Towns, not so much at this stage in his career, in my opinion. That's how I feel. What else? Derek says, I wouldn't say Cat is a fraud. I just think they need a different center. Gobert, goofy, he'd be in the way. That's somebody else I feel like I can't trust. T-Money says, can't bet against KD. And Justin also says, Timberwolves money line in my pocket if Wolves win the series. If Wolves win, he's taking the series as well. Snag disagrees, says this Phoenix team is fraudulent. We'll see how it goes, Snag. I see you on the opposite side, though. Buffy coming in late says Orlando has been playing bad all April. Cleveland wins tonight. Do they cover, though? And BG says Timberwolves defense the most trustworthy thing in this series. We'll see, man. A lot of mixed opinions there. Let's keep it pushing, though. Phoenix plus the 1.5. Team total over 106.5 will be the only way that I'm playing that. So this is, I definitely did not, this is not supposed to be the Miami Heat here. This is actually supposed to be, matter of fact, let me fix that real quick. I don't know how I did that. Let's change this real quick. I don't even want to see that picture of the Miami Heat up here, just because that's gonna throw everything off. So let's fix the graphic real quick. Take a quick second, and we'll get back to it. All right, so here we go. We got the Philadelphia 76ers versus the New York Knickerbockers. This is the way that the graphic should have been. And we got the Philadelphia 76ers getting 3 points in this game as road dogs. The New York Knicks laying 3 at the crib. Very, very difficult game, man. Immediately, I told you guys how I felt about it. Well, I mentioned this the other day on the show. I immediately wanted to take Philly. This line opened at 1.5, and the total was at 206.5. And the total went all the way up to 209. And then the Knicks, the money came in on the Knicks. They're laying 3 in this spot now. So you get a super hot Philly team. This is what I was kind of basing my playoff of. A 76ers team that finished 9-0. They finished 9-0 they're on a 9-0 current run, and they've covered 10 of their last 11 spreads. They did finish the season just 7-17 straight up as road dogs this season, though. And B was a part of 3 of those games. They went 1-2, with one of those wins coming against the Miami Heat, and a loss against the Bucks, and a loss against the Warriors. The Warriors loss in Golden State was the game that Embiid actually got hurt earlier this season. So looking at the 76ers, man, a couple of advantages they have here. One is over the last 7 games, you got a Knicks team that for whatever reason, they've really been struggling to rebound the basketball. They're actually allowing the most offensive rebounds to their opponents. And if you just go back and look at the Knicks, last handful of games, they had a Bulls team coming in and grab double-digit offensive rebounds against them. So the Knicks gonna have to clean that up, in my opinion. Here, you look at Philly. They actually can take advantage from long mid-range here in this spot. They finished 6th in frequency, but just 21st in accuracy over the last 2 weeks. So you need Philly to be able to make those shots. New York, 24th in opponent frequency and accuracy from the long mid-range shots. So we're talking about free throw line extended type jump shots. Whatever reason, Knicks not really defending that well. You look at the Knicks, though. This team actually finished 5-0 straight up and against the spread. They finished the regular season 24-6 straight up as a home favorite. That's 80%, and 44-2 straight up and against the spread as a short home favorite of 4 points or less. And one of those games actually played without Brunson. So this Knicks team has been good, man. I think it's really, really difficult to bet against them. I don't really want to bet against Philly either. One thing I did take a look at, though, and I thought this could have been, the reason why the spread was moving in the direction of the New York Knicks. So I looked at the rest advantage here. So we know that the 76ers, of course, just played. They have 2 days rest, whereas the Knicks have 5 days rest in this spot. So I looked at home favorites in game 1 of the series with 4 days or more of rest, facing an opponent that has only 2 days of rest or less. And those teams were 30-8 straight up. That's 78.9% says just take the Knicks on the money line and you get paid today, just based on the rest advantage here. They finished 24-14 against the spread. That's 63.2%, and 10-2 straight up. 8-4 against the spread in the last 4 years. So the first numbers I gave you guys was just as far as the database goes back. The 10-2 straight up, 8-4 was over the last 4 years since the start of the 2020 season. Knicks also finished 3-1 straight up and against the spread against the Philadelphia 76ers this season. And those were, remember, they went into Philly before Embiid got hurt and beat this team. I think it was on a Saturday, I think it was on a Friday. And I remember Philadelphia 76ers fans booing them. It was an ESPN game. I vividly remember that from earlier this season. So for whatever reason, the Knicks have played really, really good basketball against this team. Too conflicted on the side, man. I could see, the Knicks coming out here and handling business. I could see the Philadelphia 76ers coming in here and stealing one because this team is playing really, really good basketball. And I do think that both teams want to win. Embiid has to stay healthy in this game, in my opinion. And because I don't feel like he's at full health, I went to the total in this one as well, right? It opened at 206.5. I told you guys that when I started the analysis, but it went all the way up to 209. And I think there's still a 209 out there available. I like the under here as well. It's a lot of reasons to like the under. This is actually probably my favorite total of the day. So real quick, Knicks, last 5 games, they actually played at the slowest pace. But the totals went over because of their offensive rating, 125.1, which was second behind the Indiana Pacers as far as points scored per 100 possessions. You look at this Phillies defense, it's been a lot better than the teams that the Knicks have faced recently. They faced the Bulls, the Nets, the Celtics when they weren't playing anybody, the Bulls again, the Bucks, the Bulls again. So yeah, I think Philly comes in here, plays really, really good defense, which is something that we've seen a lot recently. The season totals were all 4-0 to the under, with each game actually going under by at least 13.5 points when these two teams matched up during 4 regular season games. The Knicks finished 8-4 to the under in home games when they were playing a team that had a 55% win percentage or better. Sixers finished 10-6 to the under in road games when they were playing a team that had a 55% win percentage or better. You look at the Knicks, they finished 6-2 to the under in games that had a total of 210 or less. Philly finished 3-1 to the under in that same scenario. When you think about Nick Nurse and Tom Thibodeau, both defensive-minded coaches that are going to preach defense and just want to escape with a 1-point win, and they want the game to be predicated on their defense. So while the Knicks, they are the 3rd-rated offense over the last 2 weeks, Philly's actually been the 2nd-best defense over the last 2 weeks. They forced the 5th most turnovers, but the Knicks do a good job of taking care of the basketball, turning it over at the 10th fewest rate. You look at the Knicks, who are also relying heavily on offensive rebounds to create a lot of second chance points. On the season, they actually were the best offensive rebounding team, the New York Knicks were, which led to the 2nd most second chance points. Philly's defense last 2 weeks have allowed the 9th fewest offensive rebounds to their opponents. So I think the way that the Knicks like to score the basketball, getting some of those second chance opportunities from guys like Josh Hart, guys like Isaiah Hartenstein, Mitchell Robinson is an excellent offensive rebounder as well. I think some of those opportunities might be taken away. You look at Philly, number 1 in points scored via transition per possession last 2 weeks. The Knicks are excellent. They allowed the 5th fewest and their limited teams to the 4th fewest transition attempts. So they're not giving up a bunch of points. Knicks actually rely heavily on scoring in the paint in the mid-range shot versus the 3-point shot over the last 2 weeks as well. Paint and mid-range frequency has accounted for 61% of their shot attempts, and Philly's defense has been excellent versus their shot zone as well. They actually rank first in opponent paint accuracy, third in opponent long mid-range accuracy. This is where Brunson like to take a lot of his shots from. And they're first in overall mid-range accuracy and fifth in above the break three accuracy for opponents as well. So Philly's defense has been playing amazing. Philly also been the third best team last 2 weeks in limiting opponents in the half court. The teams are scoring just 88.9 points per 100 possessions via the just in the half court in general when they're not out running. And the last thing I want to mention, Knicks, second in points scored off putbacks because like I said, they create the second most opportunities for themselves via the offensive rebound. But Philly has been third and second in opponent opportunities and opponent points allowed per miss, keeping teams off the glass and away from second chance opportunities. So I think this is going to be the game that gets mucked up. I think this is the game that's really going to be super low scoring. I like the under here. 209 is available on some books, but 208 seems like it's the consensus here. Let's see what you guys are saying about this one. I know that was a lot, but I really, really like this total a lot. Derek says he took Philly +3. Snag says he likes the Knicks +105 to win the series. Derek says New York is in a real favorable spot today versus Philly. I agree. Snag says Embiid knee swole back up. Won't be surprised if we see Knicks in 5 or 6. If Embiid is healthy, I like the Sixers. Tell you guys that. Anthony says he likes the Sixers today. Everyone is on the Knicks. Derek says a lot of fresh bodies to throw at Embiid, who is not 100%. Hardenstein and Robinson should be a load to deal with. I agree with this, Derek. He says OG on Maxey. Maybe he helps with Embiid. A lot of options defensively, and they don't look as anemic on offense recently. I like the way you're thinking about this game, Derek. I can see that. And like I said, I initially thought 76ers, but I think it's a reason why this number is getting pushed from 1.5 to 3 on the Knicks, and a lot of it has to do with the rest and Embiid's health, in my opinion. You got a super well-rested Knicks team that hasn't played basketball in 5 days. Buffy says Knicks have to have a team built for the playoffs. I agree, and built for some unders. I agree with that. T Money says I like to take the Knicks, but feel like they need Randall to pull this one off. 6 and 6. Philadelphia will not get away with playing like they did against the Heat. I could agree with this, Buffy, as well. Joji said never putting bread on the Knicks, plain and simple. Sorry. some they did you wrong before, huh? Derek says Embiid is not right now. He had a big fourth quarter, but was shooting free throws for the third quarter against the Miami Heat. I think the Knicks will be too much with the way that they have been rolling, and I could see that. Justin says you talked me into the under, adding it after the show. And Jake, yeah, he is questionable, but we do expect him to play. And Embiid is questionable. I am playing the under. Anthony says he's telling the under. Light Beamer, what's going on, my brother? Snag says Embiid not right. He wasn't right against my Heat, but his knee definitely swelled back up. Yeah, it's unfortunate, man, that he can't stay healthy. Jake says if Knicks win game 1, I like he says if Knicks win game 1, I like Knicks game 2. Chris, I remember you had a stat that showed teams playing down after being roughed up against the Knicks. Yeah, I forgot what that was, but yeah, I just think that's a Knicks spot in my opinion here. And you guys bringing up, Embiid health, I think is also, paramount. The Knicks gonna have to be able to make some outside shots, but I think that they should, man. And I don't want to sleep on Philly. This team has been really, really good, especially on the road. Like, I think that's the part that kind of sometimes gets looked over. If you like the Sixers, you just need Joel Embiid not to really mess things up from his health perspective, like Jimmy Butler said that he did when they lost to this Philadelphia 76ers team. You don't want him hurting the team. All right, so let's keep it pushing. Under 209 if you guys can find it. My favorite play in that game. And I do like the Knicks. I do side with the Knicks a little bit more. Probably not gonna like this one. A lot of people jumping on the Nuggets. And we got Lakers and Nuggets. Number is opened at 6, went all the way up to 7.5. It's still a 7.5 out there. I think it's available on BetMGM, and I think I saw another one on ESPN Bet. I think, but primarily the number is 7. Total hasn't really moved a ton. I think it's up a half a point. Opened at 223. It's up to 223.5 on some books. Another game. I don't really want to look into the numbers too much, man. I mean, I did, but I don't know how much you really take into consideration. I think it's a Lakers spot early. I think you got to, when I just think about this game from a motivational perspective, I think that the Lakers have to beat a much more motivated team here, right? So since the start of the last season, the Lakers are 2-9 in the 11 games that they played versus the Denver Nuggets. 2-9 straight up, 4-6-1 against the spread in 11 games. That includes the playoffs. Dating back to last season, they've actually lost 8 straight, and they failed to cover the last 5 spreads against the Denver Nuggets team. You're talking about a team owning the team. The Nuggets own my Los Angeles Lakers. I think the Lakers I think they absolutely have to give their best shot in game 1. You can't, like, when you lose this game, if you lose this game and you go down, you've lost 9 straight against the Denver Nuggets. To me, that becomes, and it might already be that, it becomes even more psychological though. I think the Lakers having 3 days of rest in this spot versus the Denver Nuggets having 5 could actually benefit them, because you got that whole rust versus rest factor. The Lakers, they did, I think, by beating the Pelicans when they did, give them enough time to recover, right? You got older players on the team like LeBron James. So they got enough time to actually recover, but you don't want them to get rusty in this spot. And I think that, goes into consideration here. I also think that's one of the reasons why you see this line open up, and it's all the way up to 7. Is because of the rest factor here. You do get a Denver Nuggets team that's going to be, a lot more rested than this Lakers team, of course. But I think the Lakers got adequate amount of rest, man. It's not like they had to play 2 play-in games. Remember last year, the Denver Nuggets ended up getting the Minnesota Timberwolves after the Timberwolves lost to the Lakers, and they smoked them in that game 1. Like, the team that has to go through 2 gauntlet games, with that being the Miami Heat and of course the Pelicans, those are the teams that typically get smoked, because you got to win twice and you only get 1 day of rest, whereas the other team has just been waiting. And that worked out really bad for the Minnesota Timberwolves last season. But the Lakers having a little bit more rest, I think, helps them here. So a couple more things I want to mention, man. I think outside of the Lakers, absolutely having to lay it all on the line in this spot. You look at this Lakers team, and this is one of the reasons I said I wasn't going to fade them against the Pelicans, because they have been playing much better basketball. It's really started on the offensive end. They've actually finished the season 12-3, probably their best basketball. And I thought it was a facade just because they were playing against some cupcakes, and then you see it kind of continue. 12-3 run to finish the season. They were winning by an average of 6 points. And a large part, like I said, offensive rating was a 121.3. 123 points per 121.3 points per game is what they were scoring. They finished 8-1 straight up on the road as well. And that's where they had actually, really, really struggled. Was the Lakers were a home team, but they couldn't take it on the road. 8-1 in their last 9 road games since March the 18th. And they finished 4-3 straight up and against the spread as road dogs against the spread. 4-3 straight up and against the spread as road dogs since the All-Star break as well. I think a big part of this game comes down to the signing of Gabe Vincent as well, and the defense that the defensive efforts. Nobody's going to stop Jamal Murray, but I do think he's the big body that could come out here and really, really help. Remember, if you watch the series between the Lakers and the Nuggets last season, the reason why the Lakers lost that series, it's in my opinion, was the guard play. I mean, they were extremely outdone by Christian Braun and Jamal Murray and KCP. D'Angelo Russell, I talked about him and Austin Reeves not being able to be on the floor because they're too small and they really, really struggle to guard. The Nuggets and Coach Mike Malone is going to try to put the Lakers guards in the pick and roll situations to get Jamal Murray on the block, where they took advantage of him all postseason. And I think that all postseason last year, and I think that could continue. So I think that hopefully Darvin Ham uses Gabe Vincent in this spot a lot. You look at Denver. They did finish the season 13-6 straight up, but they also were just 9-10 against the spread as home favorites versus teams that had a 55% win percentage or better. And Jamal Murray contributed to a lot of that. With him on the floor, they were a plus 8.4. With him off the floor, they were only a plus 3.5 in points scored per 100 possessions. So I like the Lakers here. I think, I'm cool. I'm not probably going to take the Lakers a lot throughout the postseason. And I don't expect the Lakers to win this series, but I do think that they're playing, very inspired basketball. I think 8 is a tad bit too much. If they lose the game by 7, I'm cool with it. I'm not taking Denver to win by 7.5 points here. And I do think that the number got so big just because they own the Lakers first and foremost, which has to be in the back of the Lakers' mind. And I think that, they have the major rest advantage here. So real quick, one more thing I want to look at. I want to look at the Nuggets laying 7 at home this season. So the Nuggets did finish 23-3 straight up, 14-11-1 against the spread. So 56% of the time, they covered the spread when they were laying 7 points or more. And those games finished 14-12 to the over as well. So let's look at Lakers when they were road dogs getting 7 points or more. And I'm pretty sure this hasn't happened too often. Let's see. Lakers getting 7 points, 9-12 straight up. They won a lot of these games as dogs. As road dogs getting 7 points or less. I'm sorry. Let me change this. 7 points. Let me change it to 7 points or more. Probably. So 2-2 straight up, 3-1 against the spread, 3-1 to the over. They were dogs of 8.5 points. I'm pretty sure these were games that LeBron didn't play. They lost to the Timberwolves, but covered the spread on December 21st. Lost to the Clippers, didn't cover the spread. Beat the Celtics outright and beat the Bucks outright as well. Like I said, those games were 3-1 to the over, which leads me to the total in this game. I wanted to touch on that a tad bit as well before I get up out of here and we'll go through the comments and then get up out of here. But the Lakers finished the last 2 weeks with the number 4 rated offense. Denver finished the last 2 weeks with the number 2 rated offense. I think the Lakers will be able to put pressure on the rim where Denver can be vulnerable at times. I think the Lakers will struggle to slow down Denver's offense with a healthy Jamal Murray, with him kind of getting back acclimated with this lineup. And Denver, they finished the season struggling against teams that were pushing the pace. Lakers finished the season, of course, at least the last 2 weeks, number 4 in transition frequency, number 3 in points scored via the transition bucket. Denver allowed the 22nd. They were 22nd in the department, via points allowed per 100 possessions via transition. And I think that Denver should be able to they should be able to make their threes in this spot as well. Lakers have struggled in that department. Bottom 5 3-point defense. We saw the Pelicans knock some threes down. It's just, more vulnerable spot. Lakers, protect the rim well because they have Anthony Davis down there. But if the Nuggets are making their threes, which we've seen that they, have been able to, I do think this is a game that would, probably lend a little bit more towards the over. I like that. Lakers have also been a team that's continued to push the pace throughout the whole season. They've been a top 5 team in pace. I think they, they did. I know they closed the season out top 5 in pace as well. So I think this is an over type game. 223.5. I do think that this is an over type game here. I think the Nuggets should be able to score. Specifically from the 3-point line, I think the Lakers should as well. Let's see what you guys are saying about this one. Okay, we got a lot of different opinions here. Let's see. Derek says he took the Lakers +7. Buffy says MSG will be rocking. That's a fact. MSG, Madison Square Garden, gonna be on fire today. Justin says Lakers +290 series with no confidence, but I be chasing plus money. That might be the funniest thing I'm gonna read all day. Anthony says he took the Nuggets -6.5 as soon as it came out. T Money says Nuggets bench is too deep. Justin says Lakers +7.5 in his pocket for game 1. Young News says good morning, Wody. He must be from New Orleans. He says just tune in and you giving out locks already. I love the Lakers +7 in the over tonight. I wouldn't call them locks, man. Nothing ever is a lock, but definitely trying to provide the information. Definitely likes the Lakers here. Buffy says Lakers need this game. Ryan says, what up? What up, Ryan? Better get it in now. I can guarantee they ain't giving up 7 at the game time. I think I agree with that, Young News. Lightbearer says Lakers in 4. Whoa. They get the sweetest revenge by returning the sweep right back to the Nuggets. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if I agree with that one, Lightbearer, but I would hope you're right because I'm a diehard Laker fan. John says, you think they start Gabe Vincent? I don't think so. I think what's working for the Lakers right now, you definitely want to keep it going. I don't think Darvin Ham's gonna mess with that lineup right now. Not with the Lakers, but the way the Lakers have been playing their last 15 games. Remember, I told you guys they were 12-3 last 15. Lakers just as deep and have an experienced bench, in my opinion. I agree with that, Frank. Definitely agree with that. What up, BJ? Appreciate you for tapping in. Derek likes Denver first half team total over 59.5. He says they're 24-17 first half over at home this season. Lakers 26-14-1 to the first half over on the road. Lakers can't keep up with Murray and Jokic, and that has been the theme. We'll see if it changes here, but that has been the theme. T Money says, don't forget about Aaron Gordon, and I don't think that Gabe Vincent is going to start. I don't think so. I think he could come off the bench super early if Jamal Murray has like 13 points in the first quarter, but I don't think he's going to start. Stat Bets. Says, what was the other plays, bro? I just joined, man. Hey, you can go back and check them out. Check out the whole breakdown, man. I don't even like coming on here giving y'all bets. I like coming on here and telling y'all why I took the bets I took. It'd be easy for me just to tweet out a bet. I wouldn't have to do a show. But I like breaking the games down with you guys and, letting you guys know how I'm looking at it. If you like the analysis and the breakdown, tell it play. If not, fade it. BJ says, stay away from me. Don't trust the Lakers here. What up, Erica? She says Devin Booker over 24 points is a lock for her. Snag likes MPJ rebounds. He says Nuggets in 3. Hey, Snag, you got to relax, bro. You got to relax, man. I don't know if Murray's going to be on a minutes restriction here, Frank. I didn't look too deep, but if you go through and check out the beat writers list, you probably can find that. He did finish the season on a minutes limit, but minutes restriction. I'm not sure if he'll be on one this game, though. Just because they did have 5 days off, but you have to double check it. Brian says, I really like the Magic Cleveland under and 76ers Knicks under. Let's go. I'm playing both of them, Ryan. Playing both of them. And that leads me to the recap. We're going to get into the recap in a second. Success is what you make it. What's going on, my brother? He says, scrappy game will come down to the last shot. Lakers +7. Agree with it there. Derek says, I appreciate you talking shop with Chris, best in the business. Appreciate you, Derek. You always got your opinions, thought out already, and your analysis definitely helps. It helps the show. It's really great content, man. I appreciate you doing your work as well, Derek. Appreciate you for tapping in, man. What up, Mr. Cash Out? And Daft Preview says, what up, King? Murray over his 24.5 points. He says, my man lives for the playoffs. He did come out and say that they're the best duo in basketball, him and Jokic. And I'm a diehard Laker fan. I have been since Kobe, Shaq, 01, 2000, but I would agree. I think Jamal Murray and Jokic, until you beat the best, it's really difficult to say that that's not the best duo in basketball. And I do think that he lives for the playoffs. The Nuggets are, I'll end it on this. The Nuggets are not a major market, right? And I think something that goes into consideration and why they feel that disrespect all the time, even though they won the championship, is because they get overlooked. A lot of people don't watch Denver Nuggets basketball because they don't have the NBA League Pass. I watched the Denver Nuggets play basketball. And granted, they had their times when they don't come out and play hard against some of the weaker teams, but they typically play really good basketball at home. I'm not taking them today, though. It's Lakers +7.5 for me. But I would agree with this, that Jamal Murray does show up for the playoffs. My guy Justin says, appreciate the show. My buyout of the Cavs over. And I don't know about this one, Cash Out. I didn't look into quarterbacks, but let me get out of here, man. My son got soccer I'm about to go to. I will be back on at 11 a.m. Eastern time with my guy, Kyle Kerms. If you join late or if you stay for the whole show, we've been on for about 48 minutes, man. Appreciate everybody for tapping in. This is what I talked about liking a lot today, and I'm going to bet each one of these. Orlando, Cleveland, under 207.5. Philly, New York, under 209. Definitely shop around. Get the best number. Even if it's a half a point, always get the best number. Like my Lakers +7.5 today. Phoenix +1.5. I do think that team total is in play for Phoenix as well. It's 106.5, man. You got a team with, I know Minnesota's been good defensively, but not against jump shot shooting teams. You got Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Grayson Allen, Bradley Beal, who's been hooping, Nurkic, who can stretch the floor at times. I do think that team total at 106.5 is something that I may go half unit on Phoenix plus the 1.5 and team total over 106.5. And last but not least, you see it on the short list. Short list is plays that I haven't bet yet, but things that I'm considering. Lakers Denver over 223.5. Like I said, both of those offenses are top 5 last 2 weeks. I think Denver can make some shots. Lakers play at an extremely fast pace. Denver is extremely efficient. So I like that game to go over the 223 as well, man. Appreciate you guys for tapping in. Resources that I use to handicap the game are here. And we'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again, man. Hopefully we give out some winners because I'm 0-2 in the, messing around with the play-in so far, man. But definitely need it all back. We've been profitable in the season, and hopefully we have a super profitable postseason as well, man. If you can do me a favor, hit the like button for me, thumbs up, share the show if you can, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't. Link for all my official plays when I do make them is in the description. Make sure if you guys sign up, it's the $5.99. It's $6. The cost of a coffee, man. It's $6 if you guys want my plays when I do make them and you want to join the ChrisBeCappinn community. Best of luck on all your action, man. Bet responsibly. And I'll catch you guys later, man. Enjoy your day. I'm out.